Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, in deck number 784, we're going to talk about Zalto, Fire Giant Duke. So for 5 mana, we get a 7/3 trample. I would play it right there. But then, whenever Zalto is dealt damage, you venture into the dungeon. So, I've got all 3 dungeons here just in case we don't know what we'll want at the time that we do it. But there's not a whole lot of mono red dungeoneering cards. So I was going through the binder. Keep in mind, 30 something decks have come out of that binder now. So I found Kick in the Door. And then that's it for red. That's all I had. So I was like, okay, dungeon map and 50 feet of rope. So here we are. We're 4 cards in, and that's it. So I was like, but when Zalto is dealt damage, we venture. So most of the deck is going to rotate around Zalto being dealt damage. So the number 1 card is Pyrohemia. That is just number 1 in the deck. I do have a Crystal Charms to bring it back because people are going to get rid of Pyrohemia because it's too good to stay. Now, you obviously have to be careful with Pyrohemia, and, our commander is 3, so do small 1-point burst. But before we get into the other cards that are planned on damaging our commander, let's look at a couple of other guys that like to be damaged. Like the Stuffy Doll. Or Brash Taunter. Those are awesome. Then we've got the Enraged Dinosaurs. Sun-Crowned Hunters, Raptor Hatchling, Frilled Death Spitter, Needletooth Raptor. There's a lot more in green, but we don't really have access to those. But, so let's look at how are we going to damage it? How are we going to damage Zalto? So, Outpost Siege. Choosing dragons. Whenever a creature leaves the battlefield, Outpost Siege deals 1 damage to any target. Ping. Venture. Alchem Hellkite. It's gonna be, the odds are it's gonna be a mountain, so that's 2 damage. So that's dicey, but it is a source, right? We have Rough and Tumble, which both halves of these are pretty decent. 2 to everything that doesn't fly, or 6 to everything that does fly. So that's pretty neat. Shivan Hellkite, just 2 mana, deal a damage. That's a beautiful thing. Because we can do that on each player's turn as it rotates around the table to just peel through ventures, go through them dungeons. Ashen Fire Beast is kind of the similar thing. It's also on a 6/6 body. Engulfing Flames, just 1 damage. 1 damage. And it has flashback, so you know what. Bloodfire Dwarf. Sack it to deal 1 damage to each creature without flying. Now, this solves a lot of, Sapperling Elf Goblin problems anyway. But it also does 1 to our commander. Now, I gotta have a Blasphemous Act in there, right? Yes, it's gonna kill it, but it's gonna kill everything except for our Stuffy Doll and Brash Taunter, and there we go. Somebody's hurting. Singe deals a point. Ryle deals a point, and you get to draw a card. Grape Shot, just probably going to deal a point, but, there's the scenario where it could do more. Volcanic Spray, Pyroclasm, some Plinker action with Prodigal Pyromancer and the Lightning Rig crew, Fiery Cannonade, and then the Glint-Horned Buccaneer. Whenever you discard a card, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Now, Red's card draw is more of card selection than card draw, but it always involves discarding. Watch. See what I'm talking. Faithless Looting, Tormenting Voice, Cathartic Reunion, Dangerous Wager, although if you play Dangerous Wager right, then you're waiting until you don't have a hand. So all those things cause you to discard and then draw, which is the reason why I've got the Bag of Holding. That way, whenever you discard, it's not gone. I guess we can get through the rest of the card draw. Sandstone Oracle, Humble Defector, Courts of Ire, Curse of Chaos, and Arcane Encyclopedia. Now, let's look at some mana ramp. Our commander does cost 5 mana, so of course we got that Soul Ring, the Desperate Ritual, Seething Song. But we have Ornithopter of Paradise, Fire Diamond, Opaline Unicorn, Scuttlemutt. Now, I know those two are not really great choices, just simply because they're creatures, and they're probably going to die to most of the things in the deck, but those were the options I had, The Commander Sphere, Alter the Pantheon, Hedron Archive. Pyromancer's Goggles was just too good to pass up. I mean, it was, because if you can, play a Blasphemous Act off of it, that's pretty sick. And a Hazardous Monument, making all our creatures cost less. And, of course, you cast a creature, you get the discard draw thing. So let's look at what's left, shall we? We have Claws of Valakut, because we're still playing mono red. Goblin War Drums. I mean, everybody likes Maness. Chandra's Spitfire. Opponent is dealt non-combat damage. It gets +3. So, when we activate Pyrohemia for 1, that's several opponents getting damaged by non-combat. That's going to trigger 3 times, 5 times, however big your game is. -1, minus you. But yeah, that's pretty big. Calamity Bearer. I've got this in there because our commander's giant. And it is... The one thing I haven't talked about yet is it is a 7 power giant. Now, 7 is that sweet, sweet magic number. The next magic number after 7 is 11. But with 7, you only have to get in 3 hits to kill someone with commander damage. So... but here, if a giant source will be doubled, okay. I like Besmirch just because I like Goad. Sudden Impact, there's always somebody hoarding a ton of cards, and we'll make them pay for it. Tybalt. It's got the draw and discard. Now, it's discard at random. It fit that theme. Outmaneuver. Our latest entry in, that combat doesn't involve me, so I'm going to mess with it. X target blocked creatures deal combat damage to defending player instead of blocking creatures. So, yeah, their attackers get through their blockers no matter what. Yeah, it's really good. And Jula, Goblin Raider, we have not seen a legend for, so I feel like, how old is this card? 1998? I feel like we're going to be seeing Jula, a Goblin legend, here at some point in time. But the rest is the removal, like Winds of Fate. I like just the fact that it's so random. Starting with you, each player separates all permanents into 3 piles. Now, you could do empty pile, pile with everything. That's risky. But, I mean, risk versus reward there. Fireball, good old-fashioned Fireball, and Shivan Meteor for when you absolutely positively have to deal 13 damage to your stuffy doll. So our non-basic lands, we only have 4. I do have a Dungeon Descent. I had saved my Dungeon Descent. I know there was a couple of the previous Dungeon Crawl decks that y'all had seen that needed a Dungeon Descent. I think I'll only pull just very few, maybe even only this one, I don't remember. But I knew it had to go in Zalto because he just didn't have a lot going for him. Encroaching Waste, of course, take care of that nasty lands that we need to. Desert of the Fervent and Teetering Peaks. And that is it. And yes, that is the second deck in a row with no Rogue's Passage. No, I still have plenty. But I just felt that I didn't need it. I mean, maybe it should, because like I said, it's a 7 power commander. Maybe it should be in there. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm wrong a lot. So, 784 is done. We're going to go put it on the wall. And that is it for today. So, that's what I've got. I do appreciate y'all watching. And we'll see y'all tomorrow. So, right now, it is time to shuffle and cut.